So the preseason is here, and the Minnesota Timberwolves, in their debut, have absolutely confirmed everything that I thought about this franchise going into this season. That they are going to be just fine. And not only did they win the trade, sending Karl Anthony Towns to the New York Knicks for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, I think they have taken an enormous step forward. The whole addition by subtraction, along with the few assets that have added elements to this team that they have not had before. I want to dive into that in this video. If you enjoy it, smash that like button for me. Hit subscribe and the bell for notifications. But before I do, this video is being brought to you by Bridges and Stones Family and Relationship Care. If someone you know and care for is struggling with their mental health or relationship, go to bridgesandstones.com and contact them for your free consultation today. One brave act today can create a better tomorrow. Remember, none of us make it alone. The link is in the description box below. You know, I don't know what's in the water in Minnesota. I don't know exactly what's going on in that organization, but I'll tell you this much. It is completely different than what it looked like in the era with Kevin Garnett, Kevin Love, and O.J. Mayo, and how it looked with Andrew Wiggins, and even with Karl Anthony Towns. For the first time, this organization looks like it has a clear identity. It looks like they are focused on the development, not just of their superstar players or number one draft picks, but also their periphery players. Guys go there and they get better. And lastly, this team is finally figuring out what it takes to win in the NBA. Now, the first part of that, I am shocked by this debut in preseason, Josh Minna having such a huge impact. Not just an impact where you see somebody put up stats, see somebody have a good game, but you saw somebody who was contributing in a way that you can say precisely that translates into an actual NBA game. Everything he did, catch and shoot threes, getting out in transition, driving off of straight line drives and closeouts, whether he was getting offensive rebounds, cutting off the ball, his game has developed precisely how they would need him to play to be an asset to this team. And then I looked at Rob Dillingham. Rob Dillingham looked like everything that we thought he was, which is really what you want to see in preseason and summer league, the confirmation of what you thought when you drafted this person. But he hasn't just developed that, but if you look at his footwork and his ability to score in the paint, those are ripples that I hadn't quite seen at Kentucky. He's continuing to develop. And Luka Garza. Luka Garza, player of the year, back when he's playing for Iowa. But he came into the NBA and he kind of had a little bit of baby fat on him. He was still figuring it out. Now, he had a really clean, precise offensive game, but he was struggling in the other areas. And fortunately, he's had the opportunity in Minnesota to kind of iron out those other areas, getting his rotations down on defense, make sure he's in the right place, learning how to play a role instead of being the star of a team. These are things that take players a while, but he hasn't lost that offensive touch. And now you see him primed to make a huge impact this season. He got a lot of minutes because I think that they are pretty much resigned to say, this is going to be our backup center. On top of that, you have Naz Reid. Naz Reid, who has developed from his college years. He's exactly who we saw in college, exactly who we're seeing here in the pros. A stretch 4'5" at about 6'10", can rebound well enough. But his scoring ability, especially shooting from the outside and attacking closeouts, gives you that kind of Bobby Portis feel off the bench. The fact that they're developing these guys in this way bodes well and speaks well of the direction of the organization. They understand they're not attracting big-time free agents. They understand that they cannot go the route of hoping that somehow their star player can talk another star into coming there. That's not how they're going to win. They've got their number one pick. Fortunately, a guy with a high motor and committed to a winning style of basketball, meaning getting downhill, getting to the free throw line, playing unselfishly, and most importantly, playing defense. And that leads to point number two. that they have a clear-cut identity that has translated even into the players that they have recently brought in, especially Dante DiVincenzo. Tell me, Dante DiVincenzo did not look seamless being inserted into that starting lineup for Anthony Edwards. He looked absolutely at home. And that is because Dante DiVincenzo is a winner. And when he plays on winning teams and organizations, he looks exactly how he's always looked, like he always belonged. Now, I will say this. He does add a ripple to this team that they did not have before. This team, the Minnesota Timberwolves, is not highly suited for a lot of scoring, playmaking. Oh, I'm not going to say suited. It does not have a lot of high-level scorers and playmakers. It didn't up until this year. Up until this year, they were mostly centered around Anthony Edwards and his ability to get downhill and create for his teammates. Mike Conley could run the show and make sure the ball was distributed. He made sure that everyone was in the right place. Spacing was good. Guys like Kyle Anderson knew where to be. Rudy Gobert did his job on defense especially. Guys like Jaden McDaniels, who has also developed really well in Minnesota, has played his role. But none of these guys are necessarily shot creators. Even Naz Reid, I wouldn't call him a shot creator. He's a shot maker. And he's a guy that can score in various ways, but he's not somebody you just throw the ball to and say, go get us a bucket or create something for someone else. But now you have a team that has just that. You have guys like Rob Dillingham, and you have guys now like Dante DiVincenzo, who is able to create his own shot and play make for others, but how he does so is an element that is rare to really find. He is able to score on and off the ball, but most importantly, in movement. In movement. His ability to move off the ball and make quick decisions allows him to shift the defense, to shift angles on the court that creates driving lanes, cutting lanes, dump off opportunities, lobs, etc., because he's constantly moving. And his ability to make good decisions. If you watched in that game, it caught a lot of his teammates off guard, especially Rudy Gobert, who I think is going to really benefit from having Conley and DiVincenzo. Where DiVincenzo was able to quickly catch a handoff, dribble around the side, get to the rim, draw an extra defender, and find that dump-off pass to be able to find a cutting big man, right? Or he can keep his handle, pass it to the opposite wing, or he can finish it himself. Having a guy who can do those different things offensively while shooting lights out from the three-point line and mid-range and has floaters and a strong handle and knows where to be, doesn't clog things up, that is essential when it comes to winning. When it comes to drawing the attention of the defense away from your superstar player, Anthony Edwards. This is what I don't even think that the Minnesota Timberwolves knew that they were getting when they traded for him. Now you have to also add in Julius Randle, who has yet to actually step on the court. I'm sure he's still kind of reeling from the trade and getting his bearings. But let's keep something in mind. Julius Randle, Naz Reid, they are both in contract years. And I believe there's another player who's in a contract year. I'll get to that in a second. But it's to say that both of them are geared up for one hell of a season. For one hell of a season. If you follow my channel, I say it all the time. Guys in contract years, they play their asses off. They play their asses off. That means that they make sure that they're on the training table so they don't miss any games. They make sure that they're locked in so that they can produce in a way that certifies the value that they know that they have. And most importantly, they come to play night in and night out. Their competitive edge, their determination, their grit, and willingness to lay it all on the line. You don't always get this out of athletes every single season. And that's okay. Because if we understand just how much wear and tear goes on these athletes, especially in the NBA, where there's an 82-game grind of a season, plus the playoffs, these guys put a lot on their bodies. But in these ebbs and flows of when they know they need to turn it on, contract year is definitely it. But most importantly, what I have observed of this team is the identity of this team. We know this team is going to defend. They have an all-world, multiple-time Defensive Player of the Year in Rudy Gobert. right? Who should be a Hall of Famer. If you win the Defensive Player of the Year 2, 3, 4 times, you should be in the Hall of Fame. All right. But it's all to say that his presence there has helped give his team an identity that says, this is how we win. We lock down. Jaden McDaniels, we lock down. Mike Conley, we lock down. And now, Dante DiVincenzo, who locks down. Guys like Josh Minot, who is making great plays defensively, getting his hands on loose balls, knocking the ball away from ball handlers, getting out in transition, making sure that he's protecting the rim. I mean, everybody seemed to understand the assignment. Everyone knows what it is that they're trying to do here. Even guys like Rob Dillingham, who is not necessarily known for their defense, was in a stance, locked in, and ready to produce on that end as well. And when you see all these different factors, when you look at a team that's this young, that's this talented, that was just in the Western Conference Finals, had knocked off the previous year's NBA champions who have gotten worse, losing KCP, you begin to see a team that is emerging, that is structuring itself to stay there. Not just get there once and be exciting and then we don't see them again, right? And then they fall off. But the Minnesota Timberwolves look like they're going to be a number 1, 2, 3 seed next season in the Western Conference. They're young. They got young, spry legs that should be able to allow them to play really hard throughout the regular season and win a lot of games. And then you also have a team that has a very clear identity that's built around a transcendent superstar, meaning that night in and night out, you know what you're going to get from them. You know you're going to get top tier, top shelf play when it comes to the Western Conference. And I, for one, can't wait to see it. But as always, I want to know what you all think. The preseason, this is the first game. There was a lot of splashes out there with Rob Dillingham, Josh Minot. You saw Naz Reid get himself going. Dante DiVincenzo looked really good. But let me know what you think in the comment section. If you enjoyed the video, like, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications. Definitely drop the video in your group chats and get at me in the comment section. And I'm going to get back at you there. Peace.